So this time around, we're going to be talking about the Chinese variant of the TOR M1, one of the latest SAM systems to be introduced at top tier. And as always, before I go ahead and get started, I do want to go ahead and point out to everyone here that this is the dev server, which means that everything you're going to be hearing me say, please take it with a grain of salt because it is entirely subject to change, as has been the case with the M1A2 SEP with the Tusk getting a nerf to the kinetic protection, which is an absolute shame because it was protecting about 120 millimeters, which I thought was very nice. Now it was reduced down to 20 millimeters of kinetic protection. I understand that's realistic, but damn, I was looking forward to that. Not that it was going to help much anyways, but a little less reason to carry it, at least in my opinion. But we're not talking about that. No, we're talking about the Chinese TOR M1. Now, to go over the basics of this vehicle, it is, of course, a SAM system sitting at battle rating 11.0, and it is exclusive, at least for the time being, for the Chinese. Now, at least to my knowledge, this vehicle was designed by the Soviet Union and is still in service even to this day. It's a vehicle that, uniquely enough, was designed to shoot down close-in systems, or excuse me, like guided systems such as the AGMs, cruise missiles, and so on and so forth. And its real focus wasn't really meant against other aircraft, and that's a very unique thing about this. Although that is more or less a matter of opinion, seeing that this thing does a very good job dealing with aircraft, as you kind of see in the gameplay, which, by the way, the gameplay in the background is against props. I understand that the dev server is a little weird about giving me my top tier aircraft for AI. It was kind of hard to get this in actual gameplay without spending the entire day trying to get footage for it. So enjoy me killing some AI in the background. Cool. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and pull you guys away from the gameplay segment for just a little bit as we talk about the finer details of the TOR M1 here in my custom hangar. Now, the hangar is a little broken. It still looks nice, I think, but it is a little broken compared to what we're used to. And also, as you can see right here, plastered on the tracking radar of this vehicle is my personal decal, which you can get by using my discount link in the description, which means that any order you make in the War Thunder store, you save 3%, and at the same time, that 3% goes to me as hard cash. So what's not to love, right? All benefit to you and me. It's great. So yeah, let's go ahead and talk more about the TOR M1. And also one more thing too, I'm not feeling so hot today. So if I stumble over my words, kind of bear with me, okay, guys? It's just one of those days. So yeah, anyways, let's talk more about it, shall we? Now, this vehicle introduces an incredibly unique platform in the game that has not been seen at any given point in the existence of War Thunder, and that is the type of missiles this thing is going to be introducing, which is, again, incredibly unique, while at the same time has its advantages, has a severe amount of disadvantages that may lead you away from this vehicle, while at the same time making it so that you really want to play it because it's just that unique. Now, let's outline that really quick by taking a look at the impressive missiles this thing introduces. The 9M331 surface-to-air missile. These things, oh, they're no joke. Now, when it first came into the game, these things were going at around 1,500 meters a second, which was faster than that of the VT-1 missiles, although Gaijin has corrected that and changed it to 850 meters a second, maximum overload of 16 Gs. As you kind of saw in that gameplay, or as you will see a little bit later too, those missiles are incredibly agile. They're pretty stupid for how well they can move, and also you do get 8-meter trigger radius, which is pretty damn large. Now, the downside about using this missile, at least in this vehicle, is that you cannot engage any tank. I'm sorry to say, you probably can. I'm sure some can get away with it, but this thing at any given point is going to be at a huge disadvantage when engaging enemy vehicles of any type. IFVs, MBTs, light tanks, anything. The name of the game of this is to not be seen and not get shot at, because you only have 9 millimeters of armor. Yeah, just don't get shot at. But going back onto the missile itself, now, one thing you're not seeing here is the engagement or the effective distance of this missile. Now, it doesn't say it here, at least not for the time being in the dev server. Doing a tiny bit of research through a couple of sites that range from Wiki to Tanks Encyclopedia, I think was one of them too. I forget, to be honest. It's one of those I looked into. This missile can engage anywhere between 1.5 kilometers to 12 kilometers. I've also heard that this thing can go up to 16 kilometers, although in War Thunder, that wouldn't necessarily be, well, necessary for the most part. And trust me, it's not really going to be needed. 10 kilometers at least, or at 12, is a pretty good engagement distance for pretty much anything. And also seeing that this missile does travel 850 meters a second, you can kind of do the math right there, right? But it makes up for it just a, excuse me, just a little bit in agility. Yeah. But thankfully, the stock missile is the one you get permanently for this vehicle. And also, you get no thermal sights, but it is offset just a little bit by the tracking radar itself. Now, you have two types of tracking. You have the standard radar, which it enables the enemy to detect you, which means that, hey, they know when you're locking them, heads up, they can react to it. And then you have the infrared search and track. Now, both of these have their advantages and their disadvantages. One of the biggest ones being that for infrared search and track, which you do have to manually select, allows you to lock onto a target without having them knowing, or I can't English. You can lock onto them without them knowing that you're locking onto them. Now, the downside about this is that there is a little bit of a limited range for the most part, not as much as you would think. And also, if they decide to pop flares because they see this, your tracking system will almost always lock on to the hottest heat signature. Yeah, that made sense. Which means that if they pop flares, you're going to lock onto that. You're going to lose tracking onto the main target, which is the aircraft. Now, that's where the tracking radar comes in. Although Chaff does confuse it a little bit, it doesn't really work that well in War Thunder, although you kind of have to figure out, do you want to trade off the ability to lock onto the target? They probably won't see it coming, or do you want to have a radar lock where they can identify you locking them and evade you just that much? But the offset to that is those missiles are incredibly agile. Yeah, it's pretty freaking good, as you can see in the gameplay. But again, this is where I want to kind of talk about the disadvantages of this vehicle. Now, again, when it comes to SPAA, almost every single SPAA in the game, including the VT1 missiles found on the Raket Yagpants, or the Florak Rat, excuse me, just wrong one. Those, you can at least somewhat engage a target and maybe get lucky and destroy them. This thing, if they come up close to you, you're dead. There's nothing you can do except scream to your teammates with a 30-second chat lock, I guess, which is dumb in my opinion, and tell them, hey, somebody's coming to get me. You gotta wait 30 seconds and tell them again. Gaijin, stop chat banning us for political stuff, please. I get it. But then again, this thing is going to serve an incredibly wonderful purpose of being strictly anti-air, which is something the Chinese have been needing for the longest time because they only have the PGZ-04, which, don't get me wrong, those missiles are wonderful against helicopters. They suck overall, and trust me, all of China knows when those missiles are coming at you. This is kind of the same thing too, but at least you can control the damn thing. But aside from that, that's really all I got for you guys when it comes to this thing. I don't really expect this to change up the environment in War Thunder, but this is where I want to leave it off to you as the player. What do you think about this system? Will we be getting more? Does Russia need this? In my opinion, they don't. The 2S6 is more than capable, and at least it's going to be capable for the foreseeable future until we get something for the lower tiers, which between that and the ZSU 23.4 and 37.2, it's just, it doesn't make any sense. Can we get like a Buck M1 or something for them, or a Strela? I would appreciate that, but that's just kind of my opinion. But again, let me know what you guys think about this. Did China need this? Is it necessary? Is it going to change up the environment, or is it not going to do anything and it's just going to be another gimmicky SAM system that very few people like to use because China, believe it or not, is not a wildly popular nation in War Thunder, so that means there's going to be so exceedingly few types of these vehicles, at least a little bit later on down the line, because as the dev server, or excuse me, the live server drops with the update, everyone and their grandmother who has China is going to play China and will probably be playing this thing. And also, one more thing too, please, no more than like 2 of these at any given time. We don't need half the team having this thing for nothing, okay? Just saying, I get it, drones, easy kill, but come on, just 1 or 2 at a time is more than enough for an average game, at least in my opinion. But again, let me know what you guys think, and yeah, again, that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this, to listen to me as I kind of feel and sound like shit. Yeah, again, I don't know what it is, man. I just woke up just not feeling so hot. And yeah, thank you again. And if you want to see this gameplay live, you know exactly where to find me over on Twitch. I will be streaming the update as it drops, sort of. I do want to sleep a little bit, okay? And I will be showcasing all the new vehicles as best as I can. And also, I will have a dedicated video for each and every one of these new vehicles. Maybe not the TOR M1 because it's kind of hard to do it, but we'll see more about that as, well, I guess as you guys ask me to do it. So anyways, thank you again. I will see you not only in the next video or even the streams, but in War Thunder itself. So as always, happy grinding.